Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the MrTLexify situation. So this has been one that's been boiling up for at least a couple of weeks now. It all really kind of started back in late July. That's when the first initial accusations were made against MrTLexify. We got his first couple of responses. Keep in mind the stuff that is exposed about MrTLexify and these allegations, and I say that with quotations by the way. It's some pretty heinous, severe stuff, right? I mean, he was accused of putting his hands on and then choking his ex-girlfriend, constantly manipulating her and acting psychotic towards her. There's all these text messages supposedly to prove it. He's accused of basically like being an adult when he got with her while she was a minor, basically making it weird or whatever. He's accused of outright sexual assault. You know, these are some serious fucking allegations on the table, right? And so for a while you saw like people, it was kind of still underground, I feel like, when it really started bubbling up, and it wasn't like a YouTube wide known thing. It was more or less just a more smaller kind of drama or thing going on in the COD Zombies community. But then MrTLexify, you know, he slowly starts to kind of respond to everything. He drops his first few initial responses. I'll cover those, of course. And then he drops a couple of days ago here in August, a video called My Ex, right? Now this video already has over 1.1 million views as of the time of me recording this, and people are loving the response, and it's just been a complete clusterfuck, honestly, of a situation. It's gone really back and forward at times, right? Like there's been times where it looks like, MrTLexify might actually be done because of these allegations. And then there's obviously times like this now where he's like kind of, in a way, parading the victory parade, you know what I mean? Like he's, I guess, beat the allegations to a lot of people. So we're going to take a look at the entire thing and talk about it. So, response. I would like to address a situation of 3 people specifically in the zombies community targeting and harassing me, being Renzaru, SBP, and DigDug7. These people have been targeting me in every manner, trying to erase my image, and I would like the community to know that they've only ever tried to harass me and take me off the platform. My past with Renzaru is he has stolen multiple of my thumbnail assets and has now decided to thwart me at every turn by blocking me and constantly sending people to harass me over the last couple of months with images of me as a rat, making fun of me for dyeing my hair rainbow and essentially spreading lies. I've blocked these YouTubers because they only want to destroy my image and do not want to seek a solution in any means. Me and my ex had met when we were both minors as a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. She wanted to date me, but I consistently told her we were too young and we decided to remain as friends. We then later decided to date and ended the relationship because I wanted to get out of the relationship as we weren't a good fit. We had gotten back together multiple times as adults until I'd realized I'd been cheated on with her by a minor behind my back. I've never gone public about this information until now because this has brought me so much pain in my life trying to understand the whole situation, and I had paid for so much of her life and wanted nothing but the best for her, and she led me on for years until I realized she cheated on me for a 17-year-old when she was a 21-year-old. I have an active cease and desist against my ex for blackmailing, extortion, and harassment against me. My ex has tried to misconstrue stories to paint me as a villain, such as the time I had a fan who was a minor message me when I'd opened up my DMs. I've never gone out of my way to message ever anyone who is a minor, nor do I entertain these conversations once I figure out the person I'm talking to is a minor. I have only ever tried to date someone who's my age, who I'm currently doing, and because of situations like these, I will not be publicizing my private life anymore, as this is what it's costed me. I would like everyone to know the amount of pain and suffering I've gone through with this whole situation and have wanted nothing but the best for everyone involved. But this harassment has reached its limit for me, and it is a massive relief that I get to finally disclose this information, as my ex has been trying to destroy my career with my online YouTuber friends, my family, and my entire life. So this statement was made on July 22nd in response to the initial accusations. Now at this point, obviously because of the accusations, everybody was starting to think, oh, MrTLexify, you know, he was dating a minor when he's an adult, you know, he's a groomer, he's a weirdo, all of this, right? Like he was getting the full treatment that people usually get in situations like this. People were making jokes about it on Twitter, people were clowning the guy. And so at this point, I'm gonna be honest, like from an outsider perspective, it wasn't looking great for MrTLexify. There's these Google Docs that were coming out about him that were dozens of pages long that had these screenshots and whatnot, right? And it was all meticulously kind of crafted up, you know, to basically make MrTLexify look like this just wild, psychotic, shitty person who was doing awful things, right? And so at this point, you know, there's a lot of ambiguity in the situation. Nobody really honestly knows the full extent of everything, right? Like, it's just kind of the initial stages and all of that, right? Well, MrTLexify then on July 25th comes out with a Google Doc, okay, called My Story, and it has a bunch of stuff in it, right? You know, it has, for instance, like a picture of Lex's face bandaged from 2021, where he claims that this ex-girlfriend accusing him of all these things had bitten him in the face and drew blood against the guy, that she had staged a video where she got him drunk the night before and harassed him and shit, and then he self-defended, obviously, and she fucking was like trying to get a gotcha moment out of it. She started altercations with bystanders in public that led to him being assaulted in a street fight. He posted like proof of his damages financially, DMs of her on Twitter telling him, you know, I don't care if you kill yourself when I expose you, just like horrible shit, right? Just bringing up all of this evidence where like he's basically proving at this point that the person making these allegations against him, his ex-girlfriend Reagan, is obviously not the most put together person. Because at this point, the narrative, right, is kind of that all these crazy allegations have come out against MrTLexify. His career is over with. I can't believe that, like, my favorite COD Zombies YouTuber turned out to be a weirdo, right? Well, then this document comes out with all this proof. And then, at least for me at this point, because obviously a lot of other people were split, but this is when I started to kind of like, in a way, second guess the initial story, not with MrTLexify necessarily, but with the ex-girlfriend, because even if like what she was saying was true, right, and you know, she was making at least credible allegations, if this all was also true, it would prove that she also wasn't in the best of light, you know what I mean? Even though she's making these allegations of assault and all these other wild things, there's a lot of proof in this document that she is also guilty of the same things. Now, at this point in time, would that have cleared like MrTLexify for good? You know what I mean? Not necessarily, because like I said, there was still, the verdict was still out with a lot of people. I was kind of like 50-50, just like waiting for more at this point to come out, either or, to kind of like really definitively solve everything. And that's why I didn't rush to make any videos or talk about it, you know what I mean? Because at this point, like I was watching it all unfold and I was thinking about it, but like it was going back and forth, you know what I mean? It was very iffy, and making definitive statements at that point, not really the best idea, right? So at this time, some people are still against MrTLexify, some people aren't, some people are like in the middle, kind of like how I was, trying to see where everything really went. Well, there's another hiccup for MrTLexify. Now, he's already deleted this tweet, but I've already seen it. Millions upon millions of people have already seen it, so I'm going to talk about it. I think it was July 26th, but MrTLexify posts a video. He says, I know it's going to be embarrassing, but this Snapchat exchange proves that my ex-girlfriend making these allegations slept with a minor when she was an adult and all this other shit, right? Well, in these messages, let's be honest, MrTLexify isn't necessarily painted in the best light. Now, it's not because he said anything like super incriminating. It was just the way he was talking, right? Like, for instance, this woman like was telling him to skin himself alive. She only cared about him as a pay pig. She didn't want to be with him. She only wanted him for money. His body disgusted her. And he's responding with things like, oh, but I thought you liked my kisses. And, you know, please, baby, I love you. I want to be together forever, right? So he posts this as like proof that she's, you know, a fucking bad person and she's making up allegations that she herself is guilty of and whatnot, right? Well, obviously, that's not how Twitter saw it. They saw the messages of him being somewhat cringe or whatever, and it fucking took off like wildfire. The tweet, by the last time I looked at it, okay, the 6-minute video of him exposing these messages had 150 million Twitter views. Now, that is a metric fuck ton of attention to get on one singular tweet. And it was almost all universally negative, you know, because we all saw these messages. They didn't look the best, you know, but the worst offense really was that he was being cringe. You know what I mean? That was the worst offense that MrTLexify committed in those texts. It wasn't like he, you know, was doing anything vile. He was just being kind of cringe. And I think he would agree with that. Most people who saw those messages would agree with that. But the tweet is now deleted, obviously, because the vast majority of people were just making fun of MrTLexify and clowning him. And the thing is, the vast majority, once again, of these people that saw that like exchange, that tweet or whatever, they had no idea what was actually going on. They didn't know why he was bringing this all out. They didn't really know the context of the backstory. They were just there to kind of like poke fun at the cringe, and then they were back out of the situation. So at that point, I'm not gonna lie, it looked real bad. You know, it was like, oh shit, we're at this point where we're scraping kind of to find more evidence and whatnot, and it looked like it just backfired, you know? But then, of course, let's go ahead and continue beyond that, right? So then on August 7th is when we get the video from MrTLexify. It's about a half hour long, and in it, I mean, he honestly does what I think every YouTuber responding to allegations should do. Now, obviously, it's not a good position to be in either way, right? Like, you're never really gonna win 100% of the time in this kind of situation. But I mean, this is like a life-altering allegation being made against you, you know? So you have to respond, I feel like. And boy, did MrTLexify respond. So in this 32-minute video, it is an extremely concise and very detailed, I guess, depiction of the relationship and of the ex-girlfriend making these allegations. And I mean, there's just so many different things to talk about from this video. The one thing is, there's, I will say, almost no time that I can remember in the video where there is not screenshots of texts or, you know, Twitter messages or emails of Twitter notifications, bank account statements, screenshots of videos and like photos from the camera roll, right? There's just all kinds of evidence in this thing. It goes beyond just a Google Doc, you know, with some allegations. MrTLexify addresses and provides evidence for every allegation made against him. So for one, the choking allegation, let's address that, because that's one of the major ones, right? That he would have assaulted his ex-girlfriend. Well, he proves throughout his responses that there's like this kind of pattern of this girl like kind of physically assaulting him, like biting him or getting him in street fight situations and shit. And in this situation, apparently she was like being belligerent and she hit him with a piece of wood and was attacking him, and all he did was physically restrain her. He proved that days after, she didn't have bruises on her neck or anything. The bruises on her knees that she was talking about he left were from a car crash that she had been involved in. He proved that she had falsified some of the screenshots and text messages to try and frame him for specific things. Basically, in this whole video, he spends no time playing victim, which honestly I personally appreciate, because when you see a lot of these like responses, I guess, from people where they're talking about something serious, you know, they'll do things like start the video off holding their dog or, you know, crying and shit, trying to like feign sympathy from people and like gain that support. Well, MrTLexify doesn't do that. He just lets the facts speak for themselves. He brings out all of this evidence. He debunks the claims one by one. And honestly, after it's all said and done, the proof, in my opinion, stands a lot more on his side than it does with her, you know? Now, am I saying that MrTLexify is completely absolved of every little single thing? No. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, he said some cringy stuff. He might have taken some things too overboard and been too upset about some things, sure, but is he the sexual assaulter that he was accused of being? I don't think so. I think the proof kind of really helps prove that, you know? She very obviously, for a long time, has wanted to, you know, bring allegations out against him and quote-unquote expose him for her own gain and to weaponize that against him to make him compliant with her. He proved that, you know, these assault allegations against him were, you know, just kind of fabricated or really exaggerated. And I mean, when you look through everything that's happened, at least the way that I see it, who is much more likely to be lying, MrTLexify or the woman that we have multiple screenshots of admitting that she wants to, you know, fucking bring all this shit out and expose him and try to ruin his career? I think MrTLexify won this one with this response. And I think that the audience, for the most part, also agrees, right? Like, a lot of people are like, holy shit, I can't believe he came back from this, because realistically, the allegations were extremely serious. There's all this supposed proof. Well, I mean, the thing is, if she can fake one or two things, what are the odds that she's faking everything or that she's lying about all of it, you know? If you're willing to lie about one thing, I personally am under the assumption you'd be willing to lie about other details to like try and, you know, hurt somebody or fuck their career up, right? So throughout all of this, it's just been this back and forward tug of war game, right? Over whether or not MrTLexify is this big evil demon person or whatever. And from what I'm seeing, I really think that it's very over-exaggerated. Now, like I said, does it mean he's completely innocent and is just not guilty at all? I can't say that for certain, but from everything that we've seen so far, from her allegations to the Google Docs to this video, right, I'm under the belief that a lot of this was heavily orchestrated and staged or faked or just something, right? So that this could be something that ruined this guy's life. And that's the problem with a lot of these online allegations, right? Is people, even like with this instance right here, people automatically want, like, for people like me or other creators to cover these things the day after the allegations come out. And sure, that would be great in an ideal world, but there is always that like 1 out of 10 situation, right? Where maybe 9 out of 10 people accusing folks like MrTLexify aren't lying and they're bringing up good things or whatever to like actually expose a bad person. But there is once again that like 1 in 10 where the person isn't actually what's being made out of them and they're telling at least mostly the truth and like are actually not the person that they're being described as, right? So I think that this is a pretty model example of a response to this kind of allegation. Just completely clear, concise, to the point. He's not really bullshitting. There's evidence on the screen for everything he's saying. The video is well edited and constructed. It's a video of him himself responding to the allegations. Like, honestly, it's one of the better responses I've ever seen, in my personal opinion. Now, I know there's probably some people out there who will disagree. That's fine. That really is. If you think he's a bad guy, whatever, it's not, I'm not going to change your mind, I'm sure. But this is why these kinds of situations obviously should be treated with a little bit of care here on YouTube. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that and talk about it. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about MrTLexify's response and signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs. For $10 a month, you get access to loads of exclusive videos and archived live streams, my members only Minecraft server where you can possibly appear in gameplay, early access to all new uploads, an invitation to the private Discord, and much more.